Hey there, lurkers. What do you think about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Sounds like fun. So let's lurk. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome back, Paul and Victor. You guys are gonna be naturals at this. by the time we're done with you, but all four of us have now had an opportunity to go see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and instead of it just being me and Scott because we're idiots, we thought we'd bring on a couple of people that are a little bit better than idiots, and they couldn't make it, so we got Paul and Vic.
That was good. That was good. I give him that. That was good.
I was about to say that was the nicest thing you've ever said about me, but here we are.
Yeah, I would be flattered. I was about to be flattered.
I shed one single tear, and then.
So before we go and spoil this, because really all of this is going to be spoilers, can we all give like our ratings? Last time we were together, we at least did like our tier list, A through F, with S being the top. Where would this rank as your within that ranking?
S.
This is an S.
Wow. Oh, Vic.
S.
I'm giving it.
He's hissing
an A.
over there. It's so much S's. Sound like a leaking balloon, Paul.
Snake. No. Vic will give it an S. I'm going A. I'm going A.
Scott?
Okay, so Paul's an S. Vic, you're an S?
I'm an S.
No, Paul's an A.
Wow.
I'm an A.
Oh, a-hole? What?
Some days.
I don't know if you guys listened to my follow-up to your guys' episode, but I wanted to be a little bit more harsher on some of the things, so I'm giving it a B.
A B. Wow.
A solid
What?
B, maybe a B plus.
Hold on.
We
time
lost
out.
Vic. He's out.
Did you? Are you sure you just didn't watch 2 again?
Yes,
Did you watch Volume 2 again?
We
Is that what
watched the
happened?
same film. Willie was sitting right next to me. He can attest.
Prove
and
it.
it played through the whole way. Unlike something that happened at your guys' showing. But
Yes. Yeah. We got an intermission in our showing.
But I'll explain more in our once we get to the spoiler section here. Willie,
What about you, Willie?
So I am right in between Paul and Vic. This is an A+ film for me. I think I'm the only one out of the four of us that has now seen it twice. And
That's fair.
first time through, I was probably a B to an A. I was right there. It got better the second time. Like the emotional beats, the way it challenged each character, knowing the way that James Gunn told specific story beats at the beginning of the film, and then how they're paid off at the end. Guys, it's definitely up there. If I watch it again, I might have a different opinion, but right now I think it's an A+.
I don't know that that's
all
a
right,
category, but
so
I guess you're just making up your own rules.
spoiler-free section.
Now, hold on. Each of you has to expand on your opinion without giving away any spoilers. Vic, why is it an S for you?
I think, wow, let's leave that without spoilers. I think it hit on every level. I think that emotionally it was good. The thing that was the story they were telling with Rocket, I'm not selling any specifics, the story they told with Rocket. I think they dwelled into each character and how they fit into that team. And they didn't do it as much as they did with Rocket, but they did do that with each character in every team. The special effect, and again, it might be because I have a low bar because the special effects for Marvel has been so terrible as the last 2 years. But the special effects in this one were really good. The action scenes were really good. And I'm going to say whatever I have next for the spoiler version because I have something else.
So my A rating, I'm going to use an analogy. Okay. So my favorite sandwich is the pastrami hoagie from Devani's. It's an amazing sandwich. It's phenomenal. Okay. No,
I don't know what's going on.
What are we doing here?
just listen. Okay. It'll make sense. So
I'm following you, Paul. I'm right there.
thanks,
All right.
Scott. Okay, so the pastrami hoagie, you go to Devani's, you get it, right? So it's got a lot of amazing ingredients, right? It's got mayo, it's got some sort of like oil situation, lettuce, tomato, and the cheese and the pastrami, right?
This is his favorite sandwich.
So-
He doesn't know what's in it.
That's a fair point. I should probably know all the ingredients. At the end of the day, this movie was like, they handed me the pastrami hoagie, and I'm like, yes, my favorite sandwich. But they left off the tomatoes. They left off one ingredient. It didn't ruin the sandwich. It didn't ruin it, but they left off one key ingredient for me. So it was almost an S tier, almost perfect movie, but it just missed a little. It just missed the mark by.
Are you
going to
share the ingredient later?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll put it in the show notes. Paul's perfect pastrami sandwich. Come for the movie review. Stay for the recipes.
And if you enjoy the review, please head over to our sponsor, Devani's. How was that? Was that good?
Yeah, that was great. Good job.
Thanks. They don't actually
Scott?
sponsor us, do they?
I would
would
take
be
that
amazing.
Devani's money all day.
Yeah.
Those hot hoagies are amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Scott,
You want
why
my
did you
spoiler
rate it a B?
Oh my gosh. Spoiler free. There was a lot going on and not a lot of time to just kind of cover everything. I feel like this is kind of what I expanded on from last week, but they set the bar so high. That first movie was S+ tier to me. And then there was a swing and a miss, I feel, with the second one. Hard. So to bring it back around, I was thinking like this should be one of the best movies Marvel has ever put together because they owed it to that first movie to be one of the best films of all time in the MCU. I don't know. It just doesn't match some of the other things that they've done. Plus, I feel they underutilized Rocket. This movie was kind of supposed to be about him. I know.
There goes Victor again. There goes Victor.
I'll talk about it more. I'll talk about it more in the spoiler part.
It was missing.
That's all I'm
that
going to say.
lettuce
That's all I'm going to
and-
say without getting into too many details.
All right.
It was
all
missing
right.
that lettuce and or tomato. I get it. I totally get it.
So
See,
if
it's
you've
like
been
my
waiting,
favorite sandwich. I open
What
the
is
bread,
your
there's
favorite
just-
sandwich, Scott?
There's not. It's a club sandwich. See, it's got 3
Oh.
pieces of bread, some secret sauce, some green thing in there. You know, meat.
Dude, I want a grilled cheese with bacon.
Thanks. Thanks. That's your favorite sandwich?
Oh,
that's-
yeah.
I mean, that's pretty great. Victor, what about you? What's your favorite sandwich?
My favorite sandwich is a hot dog. Come on, everybody knows that.
That's a taco. It's a taco.
I guess my favorite sandwich would be a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Of course
Chick-fil-A
it would.
sandwich.
You love your hate chicken.
And in this next in this next segment, we're gonna talk about The Last of Us.
Wow.
Don't spoil that for Scott. There's no spoilers for The Last of Us.
Nice callback, though. Nice callback.
Okay,
Nice callback.
time for spoilers. So if you didn't want any after the transition, some spoilers. All right, what was everybody's favorite moment from this film? Before I get your ingredient, what was everybody's favorite moment?
I can go.
Yes, you with
Go
your
ahead.
hand up.
Yes, thank you for calling on me, Scott. Appreciate that. My favorite moment was absolutely that hallway fight scene. That hallway fight scene was almost perfect. I haven't seen a fight scene like that since maybe the elevator scene in Civil War, or not Civil War.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Winter Soldier.
Maybe Daredevil, season 1.
Yeah, that's true. That hallway scene. Oh yeah,
One shot.
Yeah, that was
Because
really
this
good,
was
too.
another one shot.
Was it?
Yeah, I specifically was watching for that, and it was a one shot through and through.
Oh,
That was-
wow.
It was so great, and the best part about it was the beginning of the movie. They all fought individually. When Adam Warlock came to nowhere, and they were fighting. They were trying to take him on one at a time. Obviously, it didn't work super great. And then at the end, they were back to being the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they whooped some ass.
I guess my favorite part is not. I mean, I really did like that part that Paul described. But my favorite part was the intro. To be honest with you, I love the "I'm a Creep" song. That's one of my favorite songs.
Typical.
I love the intro. Okay. But it is. I really, really loved it. It really got me. I'm like, okay, we're really gonna have some good music in this one again. So, I like the intro.
That was great. That was good.
You and Scott are the two 40-year-olds on the show, so.
Okay, all right. All right, okay. I didn't know we were doing that. Okay, all right.
Guess we're just
We're here now,
dropping ages, I guess.
So,
good music transcends age, Willie.
Sure.
If you don't like "Creep" by Radiohead, I don't know what the hell are we doing here.
The Beastie Boys Brooklyn song during that hallway fight scene was so perfect.
Yeah, it was. I agree.
That was a pretty good song choice.
I would say it's arguable that hallway fight scene is probably the best scene in the movie, but I think my favorite scene was a completely unnecessary joke that did not have to be put in, and it was just James Gunn sliding something in. And I'm not talking about the car thing. I'm talking about where Mantis goes and is freeing prisoners and opens up the cage and just screams because there's that little like abomination of a character.
It's
like, I wasn't screaming at you. I was screaming at somebody behind you.
Yeah.
Do you know who voiced that character?
Yeah.
Do you know who voiced that character? Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson.
Really? Oh, that's crazy. That's funny.
That's great.
I went on IMDb. I saw he was in the cast, but I didn't have any idea. Like, because anybody who wanted to make a cameo was like some sort of costumed or CGI'd person. So I was just like, oh, Pete Davidson was in it. I wonder who he was. But that just makes it infinitely funnier.
That was great. That was a great scene.
So my favorite scene happens on Orgo Corp. Two moments that I think are hilarious. The fight scene, iconic. I think it's gonna lead as like one of the best fight scenes in any MCU film. But when Gamora says, "Shoot the one that looks like a carrot," and then you look at the guy who looks like a carrot.
And then they leave, and he's like, "Oh, good news." Yes.
And then my other favorite one is when they just shoot that woman in the leg, and she starts.
Yeah.
James Gunn had to sign off on his wife getting shot in the leg.
That was James Gunn's wife. Playing
really?
a cameo. Yeah.
Which is wild. That's wild. So it's safe to say they hit on the humor once again, because that was two amazing parts. I on social media I just rewatched the scene where they're at that person's house too, on whatever the planet was called. And
Counter Earth.
Yeah, where Drax keeps laying down on the couch, and then he slowly starts to slide. That's a wonderful scene too. Yeah.
Paul, I guess what was the ingredient that was missing?
Everybody's saying that it was a perfect ending, and that the end of the movie ended the way it should. Yo, when Star-Lord's floating out in space and his face gets all fat, and you're like, "Oh my God, this is the end!" And then Adam Warlock does the slowest rescue ever, and does the like almost finger touch thing. That ruined
I
it for me.
I laughed so hard at that part though. It's the Da Vinci painting. It was so funny.
Exactly. but that took me out of it. It's like, why are you what is that? Why are you going slow? Stop this. Just get him and get back, or let him die. Just pick one. It took me out of it so much. And then the rest of the ending, it was like it was almost a letdown, because you felt the weight of Star-Lord basically dying, and you're like, oh, okay, well, Adam Warlock is just the slowest space flyer ever, even though he just in the beginning of the movie flew, super fast.
How many miles?
Yeah, and then that just kind of took me out of it. And then the end of it was, I think they salvaged it a little bit. With like them going off their separate ways. I think that's a good way to do it, and giving Rocket the new captain of the Guardians. I think that was really good. The dance scene didn't do a whole lot for me. It just was like, okay, it just seemed a little out of place for some of them. Groot dancing has always been there, but it was just that part to me was just weird and awkward and not super necessary. So that was my they should have killed somebody. That's my tomato.
I disagree. I had the opposite opinion.
Ooh, go on. Tell me more.
That's the thing that I was going to say. I was going to save to get to the spoiler part. Was the fact of it is like I'm glad that they didn't take the cheap way and kill somebody to make this a good movie. I think a lot of times they do that, and they just like, okay, we killed somebody, so now we like, oh, they killed. We feel happy about that, and like, oh, this is why this movie was great because this person died, and we had this attachment to them, and this and that. I think this is great because nobody died, and it was still a great movie. The last great MCU movie that we had was Spider-Man with No Way Home, or what was it?
Yeah.
Whatever it was. And Aunt May died, which I didn't see that coming. I mean, I didn't know that was going to happen. But like that was what weighed that movie down a little bit was the fact that she died, and it made it like, okay, you get emotional about it.
Yeah, but that
they
was
did
the
everything
Lila
on Rocket
moment,
without
right?
killing him.
That's the same story beat as Lila dying. Aunt May.
With Lila.
Lila
Yeah, that's
was
true.
the ferret.
Is that Otter?
Yeah,
Otter.
She was
yeah,
an otter.
the ferret. Yeah, the ferret. But those people you expect, it's like Rogue One. You expect those people to die. You knew they were gonna die.
Yeah.
I feel like-
but you like the previews, they were kind of like acting like somebody was gonna die.
I feel like they killed Aunt May because they couldn't kill Uncle Ben in 3 Spider-Man movies. So we have to kill Spider-Man's family somehow, some way.
Who's left? I guess her.
But like a lot of the last few MCU movies have like really been killing off characters, like Wakanda Forever. Like they were just going on a murder spree in there, and
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll give you that.
And like, so it's like I feel like everything doesn't have to die, and also like I don't know. I think it ended really well. I liked it.
So Vic, I can agree with you on that they didn't take the cheap way out, but then they just flirted with it way too hard the whole movie. Then
Yeah, I agree with you. I get you.
That was my issue. Is like, oh, is Rocket dead? He's in the Beyond, and then is Peter? It's like just do it or don't, right? It was just too much. So, but yeah, overall great.
So some of the things that prevented me from going to S tier, I'm kind of over movies doing the afterlife scene, right? Harry Potter did it. This movie did it. I don't need them to do that for it to be impactful. I understand.
Really doesn't need closure in anything. He just wants cut it off, move on.
Get him out.
Can you do it in a way that tells the story of it? Like, could it have been another flashback scene where he is talking to her as she's like gasping for her last breath or something?
Oh, sure. I see where you're going.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want this, like, you're imposing a belief that there's this afterlife. Take it or leave it. I mean, we're
What are
already
we
in
doing?
freaking space. Here.
Hold up.
What are we doing
I
here
can draw
now?
a
What's
line.
going on?
I can suspend only so much disbelief here.
Hold on, time
Willie-
out.
Willie's going to be joining you at Chick-fil-A, it sounds like, Vic.
No, I'm not allowed in there, is what it sounds
Not
like.
today. Not today.
Okay, so you're telling me in the entirety of what Guardians of the Galaxy introduced to the MCU, the cosmic side of things, you're thinking that an afterlife is the most difficult
they're
thing to
driving-
believe?
They're driving a dead God's head. And like, I don't understand what are we talking about.
There was a steering wheel and everything. Also, speaking of the Harry Potter Beyond, I'm pretty sure it was the exact same place, right? I think they were just in the train station as Harry Potter. I think if they would have just turned left, they would have seen Dumbledore.
James Gunn was working with Warner Brothers and was like, "Can we just use this set? Keep the fog rolling. I'm just gonna record it here."
This is why I only gave it a B+. There was so much they tried to stuff into this. Let's start with, what was Guardians of the Galaxy 1 known for the most out of anything else?
Music.
The music, that's right. I felt the music got worse in the second one and was even like worse in this third.
But I mean, could you even hear it?
Don't say
Yes,
that to Victor.
and
Don't
because
say that to Victor.
because
He's old.
I got a closed captioning device. So for those who don't know, I'm hard of hearing. I went to the theater. I asked if they had a closed captioning device, and they had this weird thing that you put in the cup holder. It looks like a periscope that you would shoot a torpedo out of a submarine with. It's super weird. However, it introduced every single song and who it was by and like the year, strangely enough. So I was just like, oh, this Florence and the Machine is playing right now. Our Radiohead's Creep acoustic version is what it said specifically.
Yeah.
So I got to see, and I was like, this is just a weak playlist. It had some good songs, but like nothing that can even come close to that first film.
My thought process is like, think of Guardians of the Galaxy and MCU as a whole. You have seen more of them than you've seen of anybody else, and you've seen more of Guardians of the Galaxy than you've seen Avengers. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
they were the mainstay in Infinity War. They were the mainstay in Endgame. They were in Thor. They had their 2 movies. They had a Christmas special. So for this,
That's true.
So for
That's
this,
true.
I was okay with the so many plot points that they had going on at the same time, because I'm like, okay, this is cool. We've had a lot of them. I don't need to, I don't need you to rehash all this other stuff that I've seen in the last 6 years or whatever.
That
So
makes
I was
sense.
really okay with that.
There's somebody shared something with me that I find really interesting, and I just want your opinions on this. Follow Rocket's trajectory through Guardians 1, 2, and to 3. Between 2 and 3, the blip happened, and of the original ensemble of Guardians, Rocket was the only one that didn't go away. So he spent 5 years fighting to get his team back and then building a relationship with Nebula, who wasn't a part of the Guardians, right? Yeah. So those two, you start to understand the bond in this film about why Nebula is so close to Rocket. But then he gets them back only to now almost die. And it's almost like this film is about the rest of the Guardians fighting to save Rocket, who saved them.
Which
yeah.
is cool. That's a good story. However,
Cool story, bro.
I
That's literally what he just said.
He did. He said
I'll
cool
see myself
story.
out. Good luck.
Yeah.
listen, Rocket's cool, and I'm gonna let you finish, Willie. However, he's sitting on a table for 75% of the movie, and yes, we get to see Baby Rocket in flashbacks. But holy cow, he lost his entire team for 5 years. And we don't know like the exact amount of time between that and this movie, but for him to just get taken out in the first 30 seconds and sit lying there near death while we get some flashbacks, I just felt it was super underutilized. You could have done that so much differently, or in a different capacity, some way, shape, or form. Like you were saying with the afterlife, like why just take him out to tell his backstory? He also could have been doing stuff while we're flashing back to him. Once again, my opinion, but that's why I rated it low.
So the one thing that I have that is a critique of it is basically that they didn't really dive into Adam Warlock at all, because like even that gem in his forehead is supposed to be the Soul Stone. So we don't know. Like I don't know if that's supposed to be is that the Soul Stone in his forehead. I know that what's the guy? He said they took him out the cocoon early, so that's why he's kind of like a little stupid. But he is like a Thanos level, power level, like fight. Like he has that much power. So they didn't really dive at him in a lot, but I was okay with that.
Yeah,
Right.
they're not really describing a lot of people's powers now. We don't know how this high evolutionary. We don't know what his powers are or how he got him. He's just all of a sudden really powerful. And then at the very
I mean, they
end,
do explain it. They explain it very briefly. Very briefly.
What did they
he
say?
says, I've evolved myself to basically control gravity. Like that's his power. It was a one sentence thing, blink, and you miss it kind of situation.
Yeah.
Now, so there's plenty of like questions left unanswered that I think we'll return to.
Yeah.
I want to get to that like very last end credit scene, but can we first talk about Nathan Fillion being in this movie?
Yeah, I like that. I really liked it.
He was hilarious.
He's a great actor. He's one of the best
Why
all time.
is he not used enough? Why is he not used enough? Like, why do I not see him enough?
He was in The Rookie, I think, forever, and he just probably wasn't available.
The Rookie, is that a TV show?
TV show. Yeah,
TV
network
show, like
TV show.
CBS or something.
He's so good, and
But-
he's done so many big things that like you just want him to
And-
like be a part of something bigger.
He's been a friend of James Gunn for a really long time, too.
Slytherin or whatever.
Yep.
He was in that James Gunn
sure.
movie.
And he was Dr. Hammer in that weird little internet web series.
And he was Cade 6 in Destiny.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what did we think? The very final end credit scene is Quill talking to his grandpa, and then they're talking about some woman's son, and he's 45 years old. And then it says that the legendary Star-Lord will return.
Did you guys catch the newspaper?
Yes.
I forgot what was on it.
It was
The newspaper
Kevin
said
Bacon.
alien abduction.
Oh,
Kevin Bacon tells
you go.
all.
I know. I was like,
It's so great.
Nice little homage to the Christmas special if you missed it.
Yes. Yeah, I find it interesting, obviously, that they just called out Star-Lord is going to return. So that leads me to believe that like he's going to be involved in some Phase 5 projects. But the one thing I wish they could have gone just a little bit further with, like, who is that? Who like, is that truly just like a random neighbor and they just wanted to show him doing mundane things? Or was that somebody important, like, that he's going to run into? I don't know.
I mean, where they're going now with the Kang Dynasty and all that stuff, like, there is no way it's going to go into this cosmic level thing. Like, there's no way that the Guardians of the Galaxy and Chris Pratt and Star-Lord are not going to be part of it. Like, it's just impossible not to have them in there.
Agreed. What I think is very telling, though, is they didn't say anyone else was possibly going to return. So does that mean they can't afford Bradley Cooper and all the rest, or they don't want to pay them?
No,
to
Bradley
show up
Cooper
in that?
100% is coming back as Guardians. Right?
I think Dave Bautista said he doesn't want to do it again.
Yeah.
And I loved his
And
send-off. His send-off was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gamora as well. I think the I forget her name, but
Zoe
whoever plays
Saldana.
Gamora. Yeah, I think she's not coming back either. I think
You
she said she doesn't wanna
forgot
come back.
her name, Victor?
Fair point. But the real question is, do you think Vin Diesel will come back to say 7 words?
How much
Oh
is he
my
getting
gosh.
paid?
Oh my
How
gosh.
much is he getting paid?
Hold on,
How
hold
much
on.
is he getting paid?
How much did Vin Diesel make as Groot? So this is in 2021. It says Avengers Infinity War marked the debut of Groot in the Avengers team. Even though Vin Diesel was confined to say only "I am Groot" to express a variety of emotions, he was paid in millions for saying it. According to a report by this weird website, he was paid $54.5 million.
That's insane.
That's insane.
How does anybody even on the corporate or boardroom say, "Hey, yeah, you can give this guy $54 million to say 7 words"?
I don't know about you guys, but we're all in the wrong line of work.
Apparently. you know
We need to
what the
be
craziest
focusing on
part about that?
voiceover.
How much harder did the person doing the CGI for Groot work than Vin Diesel, and how much less money did they make, right?
Exactly.
Like that I would say that's more of the character of Groot is the person doing the CGI.
The entire like team from Nepal who probably did all of the graphics for Groot from start to finish of MCU
got
beginning
paid
till now.
$54. So here's another report just to make it a little bit more timely. This is from May 2nd of 23. It says that he received $13 million per film.
I need his agent.
Yeah.
I'm curious on James Gunn's thought process of like, hey, I need to bring Vin Diesel in for this.
Yeah, you could have got any voice actor and you got Vin Diesel.
You could have got anybody.
Anyone.
Yeah. The next Marvel movie is The Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it will be able to hold up to this?
No, I think it's going to be Freaky Friday in space. I think it's going to suck.
Wow.
I think
that
it looks
was
good.
blunt.
Yeah, wow.
So blunt.
But
Jeez.
I like trailers and I fall for them every single time. So
Yeah.
it's
Ooh.
Do we want to talk about what happened in the middle of our showing?
It was the scene where
They just got off that Biocorp thing and they got back to the ship.
yeah,
And Gamora was,
So-
and Gamora and Star-Lord was arguing.
yeah, so they start arguing. Well, what we missed is that Gamora said, I don't want to go do this. Like, I don't understand the value of fighting for this creature. And they all fought back and said, no, Rocket is our family. Even her sister was like, he's as much family as you are. He deserves to live. And that was a turning point where for Gamora, when they land on that planet, the counter Earth, that's why she fought to save him, was because of that conversation. So we missed it. The whole time I'm thinking, well, she doesn't want to be here. Why is she trying to save this raccoon? And it's because of the conversation with her sister.
All right. That is important. Our video first, and then our audio went out on a good 3 to 5 minutes of the movie.
I have a question here before we wrap it up. What did you guys think of the villain? Because a lot of times, Marvel's very good at introducing a villain, killing him off, just because that's something you do to end this movie, and he's not a factor going forward. But this actor, for me, he's from Peacemaker, along with James Gunn's wife.
I knew
and I'm pretty sure James Gunn does Peacemaker for DC. So, like, his acting is phenomenal in that show, in the small amounts that we get him, and I thought he was really good in this movie. He's on record saying, like, a lot of times people who play villains try to, like, come up with some way to justify their actions, but he said this character is so despicable and vile, like he just could not agree with anything that he did.
I think that's the part that I liked about it, was the fact that he was good acting, but also the fact of it is like he didn't try to. It didn't have to be a Thanos situation or like, oh, I can see where Thanos is coming from. Like, this guy is just trying to do something for his own. Like, this is what he wants to do, and I was fine with that. I don't need a 2-dimensional villain every time that we have a villain.
I would have liked more than a sentence about his powers, but outside of and I think a lot of it came from his suit, because if you notice in that fight scene where they killed him, once his suit got taken out, he had nothing. So I think part of it was his suit, but I don't know for sure. I just kind of noticed that in that fight scene. I was like, oh, okay, well, he's apparently powerless now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the acting was really, really good.
Yeah, the one thing I missed, because it sounds like there were several things that are just kind of blink, and if you weren't listening or you were laughing too loud, something just went by the wayside. You had no idea what's going on in the movie. I didn't put 2 and 2 together that Rocket was the one that ripped his face off originally.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed
Because I saw him, like, punch him a
Shredded
bunch of times. Yeah, so he jumps on his face. And in the background, you don't really see any damage to this guy. He's kind of just, like,
You don't see
there.
Yeah. You don't see the face.
And then when they peeled off his face, which is probably the most gruesome thing I've seen in any Marvel movie, really skirting that PG-13 rating, it was just like, oh, that's another reason why he hated Rocket, outside of the fact that he made him smarter than himself. But he literally did all this damage to him, and he was trying to get revenge.
It was purely a revenge mission the whole time.
I want to end by asking one last question. So this is James Gunn's last MCU film, because he's...
Allegedly.
Well, I mean, Kevin Feige isn't going to be like, hey, James, you're doing the me over at DC. Come on over and film an MCU film. No, he's gonna be the one that is writing the paychecks for all of the upcoming DC films. Do we think, because James Gunn has now done 3 fairly great films in the Guardians trio, do you think that it provides any hope to DC coming up?
I think so.
Maybe.
But why?
But what reason do I have to believe? What
Did James
reason?
Gunn do Peacemaker?
Then
Peacemaker was good. I know Paul has a very literal response to it, but I like Peacemaker, and I like the James Gunn Suicide Squad. I like that one as well. So I think I see a really big hope in DC coming up. I'm kind of curious how he's going to make Superman into whatever else he's been doing. Like, I'm curious to see how he does that.
Knowing that he did Peacemaker gives me so much less hope for DC. It was apparently John Cena is like the nicest human being on earth, but I don't know, for some reason I just couldn't do it. I absolutely I watched one episode and immediately turned it off.
Wow.
I couldn't do it.
I loved it.
I think there's a chance. I think it's a coin flip, though. I think it's 50-50, because you either expect him to fail because Suicide Squad wasn't amazing. It was like Peacemaker the movie, if we're looking. And if everything that DC comes out with is Peacemaker Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, people are going to get real tired of it real fast.
Yep.
I think it's something where he's got a very short leash based on what Warner Brothers is willing to do to that
Is
company.
investing. Yep.
Just throw all those movies away, take the entire brand of HBO that we've all grown up thinking is the premium cream of the crop streaming whatever cable service, and just say like, nope, we don't need HBO anymore. We're just going to name it Max. Like these guys
Stupid.
are
Yeah. I agree.
psychotic.
Yes.
And they will not hesitate to cut James Gunn in the middle of whatever contract they have.
What about this new Flash movie?
Uh,
Are we going to see that?
I think
I'm
we
going to
should.
see it.
I want to
I'll
see
go see it.
All
I'll
right.
go see it.
It's
Wanna see
set.
it.
We'll review it here on the show.
Sold.
Paul, Vic, thank you both for coming back on again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
I look
Thank you
forward
for
to
having
doing
us.
this again.
And lovely lurkers, thanks for hanging out with us today. Rate and review wherever you lurk.
We appreciate all the love, so let's remember to be kind to each other, and we'll see you next week.